Okay, so here we are, January 2018, and hopefully you engaged with the first video, which is me talking about who I am and my background up to about 2009. Now, one of the things that I forgot about in that time frame is that I had left the entertainment industry and officially, and did radio for several years with the Aware Show and Lisa Garr. But I also had a very amazing experience in that in 2007, I was contacted by a director who I used to produce commercials with and whatnot back 10 years prior, 7 years prior. And he knew that I was absolutely committed to conscious media, and he had an invitation with Elevate Films to produce something for a film festival. And he called me. He said there was no question about who he was going to call. He called me and asked if I wanted to do it. Well, in the first conversation, I basically said, look, I have no favors to call in because it's a free thing. It's like it was a 48-hour film festival and you get a script and you put it together. And so basically it's all of it's for free. And it's a big deal. So I said, look, I would love to, but I don't do anything for free anymore. And I don't have any favors to call in. So I said, thanks for reaching out and good luck. Hung up the phone, went to sleep that night, had a very vivid dream experience, woke up the next morning, called him and said, I'm your guy, I'm your gal. I emailed him, I called him. I'm like, I'm doing this. And basically, that short film, which is called Mr. President, is available on, you can click through from the website. You can find it on our YouTube channels. Wake Up Shift is Happening TV and Transcend the Matrix. But my key point in sharing that is, well, I haven't even shared the whole thing yet, but it was so in alignment with who I am and my soul matrix destiny that from the moment that I said, well, that I even got the call, but from the moment I said yes, there was magic. Everything fell into place. I had a friend come on as a co-producer, and literally there are teams that are doing short film, commercial, music video, and I think there was another category. And basically you get the script, you've got 48 hours to shoot it, edit it, and get it turned in. And it was absolutely magical. We had the biggest crew. I think we had a full crew, like 25, 30 people, whereas other people had like 5 or 8 people in their crew and run and gun. And we ended up winning. We swept the film festival. We won best short film, and then we also won for the judges' choice and for the audience choice. It was another pivotal turning point for me in that I was reignited to know that I am meant to be in the media. Now, that was 2007. I was still in the midst of all my infiltration from 2005 to 2008. Started clearing all that up after my experience with the session with Robin in 2008, 11/11. And then started to really get serious communication or detailed communication, which led then to me spending a lot more time in Mount Shasta, California and Ashland, Oregon, and pursuing in 2010, the information and the details that I was being provided with in order to, what I was being told would be a different dimension that I'd be working from. Now, I'm not going to go into any more details because something that I have learned over the years is it's so important to keep energy and keep a hold on energy in order to have things come into fruition right now, because things are so fucked up. And that's another thing. You will learn if you stay in communication with I and what Scott and I are up to. I don't mince words. If something is calling for there to be a swear word to actually get and convey the information across, I will say that. And things are not just a mess, they are fucked up. So I started to learn all of this very detailed information about this back in 2010. It really hit home for me. I had decided to take my motorhome out of storage and to start living out of it in Ashland, Oregon. And I had been guided to a specific property, and the owner was basically, when I communicated with her, she was like, "Where have you been? I've been waiting for you." It was one of those serendipitous alignments. And as I started to engage with the energy work there, and her included and some other people that came on board, I'm going to say I can only speak from my experience, started to experience really fucked up shit. And I will get into much more of the detail in the infiltration webinar that is offered as a free gift. One of the things that was a part of the experience was, well, let me back up a little bit. One night, I was awakened in the middle of the night. This was in early 2010, and it was Metatron. It was Archangel Metatron. And for 3 hours, I was given detailed information and asked to participate in basically figuring out what had and was going awry with humanity's Great Awakening. I was given information that was quite profound, in that here they were asking me to participate in a contingency plan. They said at that time, this is not how it's meant to be. You're meant to have as much money as you need to do the work that you came to the planet to do. And now all this makes a lot more sense years later. Back then, I was like, yeah, I had the websites, I had the knowledge, I had the gifts, I had the connections and the relationships. Why in the hell was I still not thriving in my life? And what I was here and had known for already 2 decades now that I was here to do. So if you're experiencing that kind of experience right now, what I have been told by my guides is that part of it was I was basically awakened to this kind of communication and information sooner than other people, because I'm being guided to now be a bridge for this transition. And we are now, January 2018, we are in the transition, finally. We've been sitting in suspended animation for a decade or 2 at this point. And I will get into all those details once we get into the infiltration and we talk about the different events that have occurred. JFK's assassination, Princess Di's assassination, and the Twin Towers falling. Those are 3 pivotal ceremonies and rituals that have occurred that have affected us and our trajectory tremendously. So now back to the 2010. So I had this information that came through, and I was being asked to participate beyond my own awakening to help these ascended masters and beings figure out what was gone awry. Now, I can hear you saying the exact same words I said. I'm like, why in the heck do you not know? How do you not know, if you are the guardians of this planet, what is going on? Now, I'm not going to get into all the details of how I've come to understand how they didn't know, and that they are now very, very much more versed in what's been going on with the planet and with humanity and with the infiltration and the suspended animation, basically. But it was a very challenging time for me. I fell into a whole nother fear of like, how am I being communicated about this? And it's bad. It's really bad. So through the work that we did at this location, and we were activating, and I didn't even know I was an activator yet. That's the other crazy thing. We were working to activate a portal, a dimensional opening of light. Now, another challenge was I didn't know enough about infiltration to hold the energy and to clear the infiltration. And then that's when we started to experience some, as I said, really fucked up stuff. And that was at the point where my guide said, you're going to need to return to LA. We can't protect you. We were very close to breaking through a dimensional ceiling, basically. And that is also when I started being taught about the matrix and about this ceiling that they were now starting to learn and understand about. And I had too many experiences to even go into all the detail at this point. But what is also important for you to take on board is that at that time, I was very focused on love, light, high vibration, and really didn't want to know about this infiltration. But it became so clear that I had to engage basically to save my life, because of the experiences that I was having, and the not just the money, but the other things that were occurring. And the one thing I will share is that we were very close. First of all, we had a crop circle show up on the property, which I couldn't even engage with the magic of that until a year later, because I was experiencing so much challenge in the day-to-day life. I was buying food at the dollar store because that's what I could afford, even though I had $20,000 worth of proposals to website clients that normally would have jumped at the opportunity to work with me. Nothing was working. So if you're experiencing challenges in your livelihood, in your career path, in your ascension, that is basically like almost undescribable or indescribable. I was basically what I was now equating it to was if I had been parachuted into a location and dropped in the forest, I would look around, I would recognize nothing. There was nothing in my life, again, that was recognizable based on where I had come from. So the last experience I had was I was sound asleep. The partner that I was in relationship with at the time was also telepathic. We were working with increasing financial wealth and money. And we were working with a loop of a video that we had created, and had left that video going all night long based on the guidance that we got, and left the laptop open in the motorhome, and basically that video was on a loop. I was awakened in the middle of the night with water being splashed on my face, and he was sound asleep. And I laid there paralyzed in fear and nudged him awake, tuned in. And what I was being told by my guides was, there are two beings that have come through dimensional portal that you need to go outside the motorhome and basically start praying. And it was so unnerving that, and I'm not even going to go in, there were things that occurred the next day that basically at that point my guide said, you need to go back to LA, get out of this, what you're doing, we can't protect you, we're going to have to get this figured out. From that point forward, and I did go to LA, I went back to LA, and I that's when I started being taught about becoming an untouchable, how to work with the commands and the energy, and start to understand that I was being tracked, and that my conversations, that as my guides referred to it as, the air has ears. And that is when I started becoming masterful at clearing my field and then teaching people how to do it. That is also when I started having sessions with people and started realizing I had a major gift to share with humanity and with people because of the clear communication. And I spent 2010, 11, 12 in a lot of silence, clearing a lot of filters, going through my own initiations, clearing belief structures that would interfere as filters or interfere with me being a clear conduit. So I got a lot of insight in those couple of years, and that is also when I realized I was an activator. And the experience was, there were two pivotal experiences with that. One, I had lunch with somebody who was very well known in the circuit, and I'd known for years. And I had all this vibrational energy coming through when we were talking, and my mouth started kind of chattering, and we parted ways from lunch. And I told her, I said, look, I'm channeling beings. She said, well, why don't you come over? I'm going to invite some friends over. You come over this weekend for dinner and let's do it at my home. And I was very nervous. But what happened was, in like the 2 days that we were apart from going to her place and having dinner, and one of the things we talked about was a very, very emotionally challenging relationship that she had had for years, and that she still couldn't get over it. And when I showed up her house for dinner, what she ended up telling me, actually, sorry, no, it was the weekend after we had had the dinner and I channeled for these people. She called me and said that everything had changed. She no longer felt the paralysis around and the emotional trauma around this very, very challenging breakup of this relationship. And that is when my guides started to say, this is one of your gifts. Now, I still didn't quite understand it, but I knew something was going on energetically. The next thing that occurred was I decided to make, as far as making money, I needed to reopen my doors as an agency. And so my very first client that came to me, she came to update her website. Actually, I don't even know if she had a website, and her branding. Well, I literally started communicating with her, and it was in our second or third meeting. She didn't even believe in being telepathic, but something happened. We were actually where I was living at the time. We were in a living room, and I started to channel to her. I had my eyes closed. She was sitting across the room, and she didn't even believe in any of this stuff. And I opened my eyes, and she is sitting there, and I actually started I had activation energy come through. I was giving her details about her fears, and I said, does this resonate with you? And I opened my eyes, and she's sitting there sobbing and shaking. Well, needless to say, that was another pivotal turning point for me to reveal through me more of my soul matrix destiny. And see, this is what's so important for each of you to understand. We all have a soul matrix destiny, but it's been stymied. It's been held in this suspended animation, and it has been part of the designed assault against humanity. So part of my role and job here at this point, and Scott as well, is to break and to support you from breaking free from the constraints and the construct of this very designed matrix that is holding back your alchemy and your natural flow of your gifts being revealed through you. This is not when what I have experienced over the years is I didn't have somebody sitting there going, well, what are your goals? What are your intentions? I had experiences being revealed through me. And that is how it all started to unfold, then to the next level of me being really realizing how telepathic I was and that I was an activator, and then how the activations work. And that's the next video. So if any of this resonates with you, you know we have the first foundational tools, which are the Clearing Your Field 101, and then also the Red Pill Remedy, calming and coming back to center. And I thank you if you're still here watching, listening, engaging. We are so excited to be coming back. Remember, we're in this together. We will see this through. And the most important relationship is a relationship with yourself.